What's up, y'all? You're listening to the Miami Nation podcast. I'm Alex Miller, joined always by Robert Cessna. Cease, A&M's got a top 25 showdown early game this week. I know that's not great for your sleep schedule, but A&M's got number 9 Missouri coming to town in a game that, look, if A&M wins, it's going to be feeling good. If they lose, you're going to start coming back down from Cloud 9 a little bit, I'd have to say.
They're going to play an 11 o'clock game. I always like a good 11 o'clock game, something that you're looking forward to, whether you're a media person, a fan, or a player. I mean, come on, number 9 coming to town, got a chance for A&M to be 5-1. The hype train would be able to go for 2 more weeks, and then they're going to somebody else that they should beat. Missouri, this is a big game for them as well. So around the board, this is a game where a lot of the nations, very seldom, you only have about 2 or 3 games every week where you match up ranked teams, so the nation will be watching to see what happens.
Well, we're going to be watching to see what happens at A&M's quarterback position. The latest update on Connor Wegman from Mike Elko on today's SEC teleconference. Wegman's back at practice. He's throwing, but still a game time decision. Look, if I'm reading the tea leaves right, this is my opinion. It sounds like Marcel Reed is going to make his 4th start as A&M's quarterback, but whereas Connor Wegman hasn't been available the last 2 weeks, it sounds like they might give him the shot per se and make him available if needed against the Tigers.
I think without a doubt, when you looked and now Reed has started these 3 games, look good, have some ups and downs, but mostly ups, no turnovers.
That's huge.
Huge. When you look at what he's done, hey, he's 3-0. You can't be any better than that. Win a game on the road, win a neutral site game, come back from a deficit 7-0. So he's done a lot of great things. We don't even know if Wegman could have done that because, let's be honest, 3-0 is the best you can do. But there is a reason Wegman was the starter going into the season. But he hasn't – a lot of buts. But he hasn't played the last 3 games. So it'd be like all of a sudden, I got a cold, I go out. You bring Jake Weiss, and I go, oh, man, that guy's great, man. Why did Cessna's an idiot? And Cessna, I'm a little bit better. Go, let's let Jake see if he stubs his toe. I think that's just the natural progression, and I think all coaches really like the competition.
Well, and it's probably one thing to, say A&M starts Marcel Reed on Saturday and things don't go well. It's probably easier to then pivot to Connor Wegman. Vice versa, you bring Wegman back, he struggles, then what do you do, and you're in a bind?
Yeah, I think without a doubt, I'm not going to say I know Mike Elko because I say there's so much you never know. You're never told the full story. But from what I see, to me, it's 99% sure that if I was the coach, you got to start Reed what he's done. Maybe, once again, is you never know when that guy takes off. Remember, Johnny Manziel was on the scout team for a whole year. I mean, obviously, he just didn't get it overnight, but you got to get that trust. And sometimes when the lights go on, somebody's a little bit better. And I think right now, like you touched on, no turnovers. It's amazing. The guy really he threw like one that maybe should have been intercepted, going back wherever it was. But he has just made plays and made enough plays.
Well, the fact of the matter is A&M's offense did what it needed to beat Arkansas last week, but the fact remains they need to take some steps forward to find consistency. They really struggled through those middle quarters. They really struggled to get into advantageous situations on 2nd and 3rd down during those stretches of play, and they've really struggled with downfield passing. Reed's actually been really good on the short and intermediate throws, which is not a bad thing, but if you can't pop one over the top every now and then, you kind of the defense can bring itself down and really box you in at times.
A couple things. You're right. A&M needs to be better on 1st and 2nd down, so you're not in 3rd and 6th or longer all the time. That being said, as Elko has said several times, receivers have had a rough time getting separation. So I don't care who your quarterback is, whether it's Reed or Wegman. If they're not getting open, that's very tough. And then once again, if you don't run the ball, then people start stacking the line, and it makes it even harder to complete those passes. Arkansas took the run away, but we don't know how much that was them, how much that was A&M. Excuse me. But the bottom line is Missouri comes in with a week off. So that's huge for their game plan.
And their defense is pretty good.
Their defense is pretty good. That's huge for their health. They get a break in the 11 o'clock game. It's not going to be rowdy night out at Kyle Field. It's 11 a.m. So there's a lot of nice things about this game, that so many little intricacies that we just don't know. But you're right, A&M's offense has to be better. I expect the defense to play a lot like it did against Arkansas moving forward. That's what I thought I would see this year, that I was somewhat said, where was that defense? Now, it was there. Now, it could be there for another week, because this is going to be a great test, because they got a great quarterback. They don't only have one good receiver, but they got some people that complement them.
They got like 3.
So, I think A&M's going to have to score 21, 24 points to win this game. And the team I saw last week, I don't know if they can score 24 points.
Well, you mentioned the defense, and I don't know what it was, but you mentioned the lights coming on, and it just seemed like the switch flipped for that defense in the middle of that game. The way they were able to get after Taylor Green was just something that we hadn't quite seen from them. And once they got it going, it was just a snowball effect. Brady Cook has not had as great a season as I think people have expected him to have, but he's still probably one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. The one thing I think that is advantageous to A&M, he's not as good a runner as some of these other guys, like Taylor Green was, like Riley Leonard was. He is definitely more of a pocket passer. But if A&M's not able to limit some of these big plays that they've been prone to giving up lately, it's not going to matter, because he's going to throw the ball to Luther Burden, and he's going to make A&M pay with his legs.
I'll take a $50 bill and tear it in half. I'll give A&M half of it because their defense played well. They got after Green. I'll keep the other half because I thought Green time after time made bad decisions.
Yes, he did.
And I don't think Cook will do that. And then obviously this might be the first time that A&M has a receiver that they might have to double team or make occasions for. I know Armstrong got lead a lot of times, to deal, but he still caught like 6 balls. And so Missouri's going to be better. So I am waiting to see the defense, because what has got A&M in problems before? They've had great D-line last year, but the secondary failed them, or a linebacker would screw up. So you just can't have 4 studs up front. You got to have some complementary people. And A&M had those last week, but will they be there moving forward?
It's going to be really interesting, I think, to see how A&M lines up their defense against these Missouri receivers, particularly Luther Burden, who's their biggest play threat, right? As we know, he is a slot guy. A&M's best cover man is Will Lee, who plays corner. I would expect him to probably mark up Theo Weiss most of the game, as he did Andrew Armstrong last week against Arkansas. It was funny, we were in the first quarter, and I can't remember who switched with Lee, but Armstrong immediately got like a 20-yard gain on a throw, and then they switched him back immediately. But point being, if you're looking at the nickel position, that's going to be interesting. Jaden Hill's had some troubles in coverage this year. And look, I know the touchdown pass he gave up last week was on a scramble throw where the guy just kind of slipped behind him. And, scrambles are always hard to cover in general, but the fact of the matter is he gave up a 75-yard touchdown pass. We've heard a lot about how B.J. Mays has really made some strides coming in at nickel. Maybe he gets a little bit of run. I'm curious to see how they really cover Burden and how much that front 7 can help the secondary get Cook under duress and not allow him time to sit in the pocket, let the plays develop, and throw downfield where they can really do some damage.
I'm with you 100% because I think Cook will be better when they come out of the set. They look up, and if, let's say, Lee is on Burdick, whatever, I think they're going to do a better job of saying, okay, the matchup we want is our second receiver against their guy or their third receiver. And I think what happens, Missouri is such, their receivers have been good for a long period now, they're going to get open. And what happened, we saw that a lot. A few times, even a couple that Notre Dame completed. And even when Florida, their Wirtz, whatever, he went to the guy, he was just open a little, but they got it to him. He didn't keep on to the ball. And Taylor held on to the ball too much. Green held on to the ball too much. Cook's not going to do that. He's going to pick a guy, and a lot of times that guy's going to be open. And or hopefully if you're A&M not, I'm with you. I want to see what those second and third guys do because I think Missouri is going to pick somebody and throw the ball.
Fun little nugget in this game. We mentioned Marcel Reed earlier. His older sister, Bria, she's one of the assistant recruiting directors at Missouri. And Eli Drinkwitz, he said, hey, you're not allowed to practice this week. You can come in the first 5 periods, but once we get into it, you're not allowed because of a conflict of interest. Just kind of funny. Coaches always got a little paranoia to them these days, but just goes to show it's a small world here in college football.
Well, it is a small world, and sometimes people go, why don't they let you do that or whatever. They're always worried that what you might say, someone might go, and just accidentally you can give something away. You should saw the play that Marcel made today, and he ran out and threw it back to somebody. I mean, you just never know, and it might be nothing to a casual observer, maybe even his sister, but suddenly say that to the right person and go, we need to be worried about a reverse pass or what have you. And let's be honest, coaches are paranoid because they draw these plays up and they work great in practice. Then they go to the game and they call them and it explodes. Like, let's say the fake field goal of Arkansas. Maybe that went well in practice, but oh my gosh, that was so bad. And then they have who knew? How did they, what tipped it off? Did it the way we come out of the huddle or whatever? Coaches are paranoid.
Well, Cease, what do you think A&M's biggest key to victory is on Saturday?
No turnovers. You're at home. I think Reed and the way Klein calls a game for A&M, if the defense shows up and the offense doesn't turn the ball over, A&M's got a great punter. And when you have a punter that can change field positions, you're at home. A&M just takes care of the football. You'd like to think eventually you'll wear the visitor down. However, I am concerned about a Missouri team that I think I roughly checked. I want to say they've won like 6 or 7 games in the last year, and now 4 games by a touchdown or less. They find a way to win.
They do, and they have a winning streak going that dates back to last year. They've won like 8 or 9 games in a row or something. So, well.
And always remember, when A&M beat old Eli and the boys, Derwinkowitz, I can actually say his name.
Drinkwitz.
Him too. In 2000, what was it, 21? I said, that guy ain't going to be around very long. I called it again, right? He comes in with a number 9 ranked team, so maybe you shouldn't be listening to this podcast.
All right. Well, if you do want to listen to this podcast or read anything this guy or me has to read, be sure to check theeagle.com. Nice of you to wear your Mizzou gold today, but
it was clean. It was as a Robert.
It's Steelers gold.
It was. Thank you. Way to help me out. Yeah, Steelers gold. Okay.
We'll be back next week on the My Aggie Nation podcast. Thanks for listening, y'all.